Well, good morning to the intermediate chess lecture at the LA Chess Club. It's August 6, 2016, and we're here doing our 1,000 best short games of chess again. And I think I picked one from Hastings, 1904. Napier is white, and it just says amateur is black. Oh, let's see Napier as a master. Starts e4, great opening move for white. Why? Bishop out, queen out, sits on one of the four center squares, and it controls one of the four center squares at d5. And even though he was an amateur, the amateur said, well, if it's good enough for the master, it's probably good enough for me. And now we have a King's Gambit, which is not played too much at the highest levels anymore, but it's a lot of fun. f4. So black has a bunch of options. Take, or which they've found now, the counter to this is d5, and it gives black at least equal chances. Black takes. Knight f3 to stop the nasty check from the queen onto the king. And which is the normal continuation, g5, because what you're going to do is you're going to push against this knight, have the knight go somewhere, and then the queen can do this check, her check, right? White counters with this, because now when they push against the knight can move. The queen will not be able to take the pawn because it's protected by the rook. As you can see, the opening sequence for the King's Gambit right away is tear open the king side. You're not going to get a lot of development, okay, early. You're going to be playing with pawns and attacks. The queen side is not developed. That's why they don't play it too much anymore. It's a lot of fun, but it's very dangerous. And sure enough, black says, I will attack your knight. The knight goes to g5, protected by the pawn, so the queen can't even take here. And the queen is threatening to take one of these pawns, negate the attack right away, probably develop queenside, hopefully castle queenside, and white should have a decent game. No rest for the poor knight. And, of course, because how many pieces does black have developed after 5 moves? Zero, which means white can maybe start to get away with some stuff. I call it stuff. People would call it positional sacrifices.
Oh, e6, ready?
Knight takes f7. Okay.
Probably the best and only move.
Interesting. And sure enough, the king is now the most advanced piece of black's army.
And even the king is
All right, so let's see. d4. So white continues with normal development. Let's see, bishop's attacking pawn, queen's attacking pawn. Something's going to fall, except I don't know. I don't think black can protect both.
No, but he could play f3.
f3. Let's see, pawn takes, queen takes, check.
Queen f6.
Yep.
Move the pawn on D.
I think black has to develop a piece. I mean, it's almost imperative, right?
Not true.
Okay. At least it protects this pawn from the queen. The bishop is now protecting, so I suppose this bishop could take the pawn here, which it does.
But then what about after d4?
Bishop g7.
So this is getting his pieces developed.
I'm thinking maybe to protect the f6 square 3 times, once, twice, 3 times, if the queen is going to maybe try to check.
Maybe attack the d4 pawn also.
All right, so after bishop to g7, sure enough, knight c3, pawn takes pawn, opening up the center.
Not the best idea in the position your king is.
No, because
Right? His king is wide open now.
bishop c4 check.
At least the foot leads.
So remember, white's playing down a piece, but the king is really exposed. What happens if bishop block. Probably bishop takes, bishop, king takes.
Queen takes pawn. Queen takes d4. Queen takes pawn.
Or you can also play
Oh,
d4.
queen takes.
Or you can
Queen
also
takes
play
g4.
Well, king just moved. I don't think that was a wise move. Check. Oh, hiding in the cubby hole over here.
That's a really
That's, but all he has to do is give it check, right?
Knight takes.
Yeah, check with me.
Yeah, but it's pretty hard to give a check.
Now queen here or bishop here with the discovered checkmate. Because I don't think there's anything to block. You're getting very, you're getting very, very close to a mate.
There are two moves here: queen takes d4 and knight f6.
Queen takes. Because of queen takes, bishop takes.
That's an act, bro.
Sure enough, threatening mate.
Knight f6.
This would be a double discovered checkmate, right?
You'd have to
Knight
have-
here, double discovered checkmate.
No, I'm saying he would have to sap right now his queen,
No.
right? No, he can. No, his bishop can move.
Yes, but what he's going to do, he's going to block the double check. Can't stop this check, but he can block the double check.
Wait a second. Wait, okay.
Ah, what a cute little move this is. Queen takes pawn. Please take my queen, and you get mated.
Otherwise, you get mated.
Right? If bishop takes queen, knight here, double discovered checkmate.
What about bishop takes knight?
Yeah.
Bishop
Yeah,
But
he's
if-
still in check.
No, but you see, if bishop takes knight, he'll still be in check. Of course, the queen could take with check.
Yeah, that's the idea.
Very interesting move.
It's cute, but I wouldn't quite play it.
You should move it back. The bishop back.
Let's take a look. After,
Then you get mated.
well, bishop to f5.
Bishop takes knight. Only move.
Unless
He
he's
should
really
move his
dumb.
knight out of the way and get his king to
If the
g8.
bishop takes knight, bishop
Where's
takes
the
knight,
queen takes pawn?
He should move his knight to f6.
After queen takes pawn, oh, I see. He moved back here so that if queen takes, and you still block.
That's a bad move, right?
No, it's not a bad move. It's reasonable, but bishop takes knight is better.
Check. What's the only move? Bishop takes.
Yeah, that hurts.
Check.
Oh, you get
What's
mated.
the only move?
And
H
H
takes
takes
G6 mate.
And pawn takes bishop, mate.
Gotta be kidding me.
Mitch, wasn't bishop takes knight better? Then
Well, if bishop takes knight, let's take a look. If bishop takes knight, this bishop takes knight, isn't there an open,
no. That's not what.
you were back?
Yeah, when the queens were still on the board. This queen was here. The queen was here. And the knight.
Yeah, the white knight was right there.
Yeah,
And the bishop.
right there.
And he had
Yeah.
a free move.
Bishop takes knight.
And what he did is instead he went back here, right? You're saying bishop takes knight this way?
Oh, I see it now. Queen g6, anyways.
Yeah, queen g6, right? And if bishop takes, this is mate,
Or if
Or
queen,
bishop takes.
right?
or queen f5. Also queen f5.
It doesn't matter, right? Either way, bishop takes, bishop, yeah.
What would happen if, let's say,
It didn't matter, he picks his poison.
what would happen if he moved his knight on g8 and then he moved his king to g8? He moved his knight on g8 to, let's say, f6. and
Yeah,
then-
tempo the queen.
And then moved his king out of the way.
Oh, you mean move this bishop where and move the king away?
Or move his knight where he can fork before you move the black bishop.
I think she's saying like this and like this.
Okay,
this here.
right. And she's saying move here and tempo the queen?
But that doesn't work
Because you still get a check.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right.
You still get a check and you
See, the whole key is to keep
Is
the
there
king in
any
check.
other move? What about the
No,
That
according
could actually been amazing.
according to this, it says that there's two ways of committing suicide. According to the book, okay? You can pick, yes, all of them. You can pick your poison. It doesn't matter. It's all over. There's no way to save it. But remember, you have a master against an amateur. And I think the key move was moving the king here instead of blocking, allowing the king to travel over
Well,
here.
D5. And then after bishop moves, you have D6 check. But anyways, queen takes 9. You have 3.
And if you move the bishop
Well,
out of the way,
this is what you're going to get with the King's Gambit. If you guys want to study it, there's a brand new, huge book, which you may or may not be able to get on eBay, by Tim Taylor, called Fisher's King's Gambit. It is as large as the original Laszlo Polgar chess book. It's gigantic, hardcover. There's only 200 copies in existence. He did a self-printing. I saw a copy last week at the Santa Monica Bay Chess Club. It is phenomenal. The print is gigantic. The games are stupendous. And basically, it is the King's Gambit. From the beginning of 150 years ago with Morphy, all the way through the 1920s, all the way up to Nakamura using it in the US Championship a couple of years ago. And phenomenal analysis. It sells for $95, which is not bad for the big, gigantic hardcover book. See if you can possibly get it. I don't think they were going to put it on eBay yet. But if you go to Tim Taylor's website, you might be able to order it. But like I said, there's only 200 copies in existence, and he says he's not going to do a softcover edition. So, but it is really phenomenal. If you love the King's Gambit, try to get a copy of that book. I'm going to talk to Mick to see if we can get one for the club. Not to put it for sale, just to keep it here. It's really, if you, like I said, if you like the King's Gambit. Okay, Schulten versus Horowitz. E4, E5 looks normal. We don't know what we're going to have yet. Bishop C4. Knight F3, attack the unguarded pawn. Knight protects. And now I believe we have sort of like a reverse Evans Gambit. B5. Is this correct? Yeah. It says Schulten is white, Mr. Horowitz is black. London, 1846.
Horowitz was a good player.
Bishop takes. The key for sacrificing this pawn is that you keep white busy, keep attacking the bishop, and he can't develop any more pieces. It's like the Evans Gambit. Okay, bishop out, getting ready to castle. D3, bishop's outside the pawn chain. Now we attack the bishop. Bishop back along this very pretty little diagonal. Queen up. I guess it prevents this bishop from being developed, even hitting the knight, because the queen can take. But I don't know if that would be good. Yeah, because then he's attacking the knight.
What about knight A4?
Knight A4, bishop takes F2.
Queen out. Let's see. Let's take a look and see what we're looking at to prevent the bishop sacking. Well, you've got 2 on F2, so you had to protect.
Wait, how can I make 2 moves?
Right, the queen came here. Black's move, attack the bishop. Pawn takes. Now, black has some choices here. You want to take the pawn back or sack the pawn, which is what he does, and he castles. I like that. I like that move a lot. Well, the king is safe. You don't have to worry about the queen on this file. He was about to get checked. Queen takes pawn check onto the king, right?
what would happen if he took the pawn with the bishop?
Wait, before?
The black pawn.
This here. Okay, queen takes. Queen takes.
No, he just loses.
Yeah, he'd lose a piece. I don't think there's anything there. Maybe even a check follow-up. There's no follow-up after the check, even here with the knight. He'd just lose a piece. Okay. So let's look at material. 6 pawns to 8. So basically, white's up 2 pawns. But black has a very safe king. 3 pieces developed. White has 3 pieces developed. I don't know. This is very close. I sort of like black better because of his safe king.
I like white better. Yeah.
All right, knight takes.
Space advantage, right?
Yeah, he does.
Pawn takes.
B check.
Now your move, Perry. Bishop takes pawn check.
The idea behind that move is
Queen, right? Queen takes bishop. And instead of trading here, and then you pick up the bishop.
you take your piece back.
And that didn't work before because of the knight?
Here. Here. So you get your piece back.
I'm going to attack you 2 times.
Queen up. Let's see. To protect the pawn, so the queen can't take the pawn and say check. It's got to be protected.
I would trade pawns and then play bishop b7.
Trying to open up the file and attack the queen.
Why does this game seem awfully familiar? I don't know.
Because it's the same pattern.
Allowing black to develop some more pieces. Queen over. Well, let's take a look. He still hasn't castled.
You're right.
This is very bad. He still hasn't.
I think so.
Okay. This one I will not answer it.
Well, here's what it is. You have mate in 3.
Black announced mate in 3 moves.
Black announced mate in 3. See if you guys can see the first move.
The pawn, I mean, the bishop takes the pawn. And then the queen checks the.
Well, I mean,
First move is a queen sacrifice. Yes.
Seven check.
queen f1 check.
Yes, queen f1 check is the first move of the sequence.
Correct.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
No castling.
Okay. Yeah, it's too bad you can't castle out a check. If you could castle out a check, boom, 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 you turn the tables. Mick thinks maybe, because the rule is you certainly can't castle into check. That's pointless. You can't castle while you're in check, but we think the rule should be changed. Because the whole idea of Guinevere and King Arthur escaping the hordes when they attack the castle was to escape in the underground passage and meet, Robin Hood out in the forest. So why not be able to use the underground passageway to escape the attack? And while you're in check, you should be able to castle out of it. But that's not the current rule.
But that's
Okay.
an easy tempo, so I don't think that necessarily
Well,
works.
if castle's queenside was possible, black has queen c4.
I don't know if it would still help him in this
Why
game.
didn't he castle before? Was he unable to?
Yeah.
Before.
Well, he could. First of all, he could never castle kingside.
No,
He
no, I
could-
mean queenside. Why did he castle?
Yeah, he could have castled queenside before, because he didn't anticipate this. Well, let's say he castles queenside. The queen was here, right? This would have been mate with the queen, right? He would have castled into checkmate. Yeah.
Which is
Oh,
not.
I just see the
Okay. So what's the only move white has?
check.
All right. What's the next? This is the key move now.
Bishop.
Bishop d3.
But where does it go?
Bishop d3.
Bishop d3.
Because you have a double discovered check. What's the only move white has? And now the mate is,
F1 check.
and you have a Morphy mate. Bishop Rook. Now that was only 3 moves into the future. You got to start thinking like Tall. Tall would say, the very first thing I look at is how can I sack my queen? And if I don't see a sack for my queen, is there a sack for my rook? And if there's no rook sack, how about my bishop? And he goes down the list, and that's every single move he's looking to do a sack to come up with these kind of sequences. And he made it to the World Championship for 2 years, 60, 61. Well, all of 60 and almost all of 61. That's 2 years. Okay? So, and this was back 120 years before he became world champion.
So how long is
Now they're doing it every 2.5 to 3 years because they're going to have it in November in New York. Magnus is going to be playing Kiriakin for the World Championship in New York City. Just before Thanksgiving, I think they start.